So you're a Renaissance man, and I would actually have to agree with that after what I was looking at, preparing for this interview. Um, Actually dive in a little bit more into that. Get deep into that. Like, what do you mean by Renaissance? Like, what are you into? That
Renaissance man, because over the time I feel it was hard. I had a passion. It started with one trait or one passion that I had, which was music mostly. But into that, I love fashion. I love art, but I couldn't. It's not. I didn't see a pivot to it right away. No, not right away because maybe the environment I was in, because I was maybe at the time when I started taking music seriously, I was in Paris, but it wasn't so much. I was a kid when at the time I was in Paris. So there's things when I grew up, when it was my age group to make a move on my own, I wasn't in a city vibe more of, so I was more in Maryland. So the lifestyle was a little bit different. So you had to adapt to how I have an artist will come up over here.
So you're saying adapt from, because you're originally from
Paris.
Paris.
Yeah.
So city life, I mean, it's kind of this, city life, I would say is, you've been to one city, you've been to almost all of them, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's radically different because English isn't your first language.
Exactly.
So you had to do everything. It was hard, I would imagine.
Hard, yeah. Like I would say, like let's say if I would have came right straight from France to a city like New York,
Yeah.
it wouldn't probably be as much of a difference for me. It would be a quick way to adapt because they're all really, really similar. Just because the train is everywhere, because everything is so close to each other, you could go to certain places. But Maryland, it's not necessarily the same way.
Nothing's close.
Yeah, exactly.
depending on where
yeah, so you know how it is. So it's not the same way. So I feel that is a big factor to it because even I changed the region, how even people see hip hop, even people that view music, and you realize that it's something I never thought of it because I always live in a city that was, in France, if I would have lived somewhere that was more, country or more rural, like I would be different. I would have a different outlook of it. But
when did you come here? Like, because I think
US,
to the US.
Like 06, I came here 06,
Okay, so that explains it. Because I want to say when I first met you, obviously you was in the music, you was rapping and whatnot. And I was wondering, I didn't know when you got here. So I had some prejudgment. Yeah. So when you started rapping and I was trying to understand you sometimes because it was difficult at first. But I didn't realize that you was only here for a few short years.
Yeah, the beginning, I'm not going to lie. Like, of course, the beginning, it's just the passion and the hunger that was talking. But yeah, like the accent, me knowing like more vocab words to add and, sentences and more counting bar. It was just so much into it. I was at the beginning stage of it. It's just all I had was hunger and passion that, what, no matter even if I fall 10 times, I'm going to get up and still do this because I love this more than anything. Before I came here, I loved it. And I was birthed into a culture where I came from that this is what we live. Even it sounds good from any part of the planet. We understand the sonority of hip hop and we loved it. So I lived it. That hunger and passion never left out of me.
It's funny that you mentioned that because it really is global. Because I spent about a month and a half in Norway, and they were over there rocking to hip hop. It made me smile. Actually, I was like dumb happy because I'm like, wow, this art form is really everywhere.
Touching everybody, and people don't understand the power of it as much sometimes. I feel because people wouldn't know, like, as much that probably, as hip-hop being a country for, like, decades and stuff, it's same thing. Certain country was built also now decades of the same genre. Mm-hmm. And I feel that because that genre brings everybody together from a certain standpoint and from where you're at in life and from where it was birthed at. So everybody around the world from that category can relate to that. I feel like, so that would never go away. That feeling would never go away. I feel for everybody that come here is like the maker, It's just like I have to touch grounds over here.
Yeah. I will say this, man. The fact that you kept up with it all this time, because even with myself, before we started recording, you were asking me why'd I stop. There's a whole story to that. I'm not gonna get into it today, but there's a whole story to that. But the fact that you kept going with it, and I was actually taking a listen to your work up to this point. You know, you got a lot I still got to go through.
Nah, yeah,
And
no.
I was looking at it, I was listening to it, I was like, yo, this is not the same guy. Not that, like, lyrically, you are way better.